Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to the final edition of NoDQ Live for 2018, of course. Monday Night Raw, which was taped on Friday in Detroit, Michigan, has just wrapped up. I will go ahead and give my thoughts on Raw and the state of WWE as we head into 2019, which for some of you watching this, it's already 2019. For some of you, we got about 50 minutes to go. For me, there's still about 3 hours, 50 minutes left. However, I decided for tonight's stream, I will go until midnight Eastern time. So I will ring in the new year with everyone out there on the East Coast. So let's go ahead and do this 50-minute video here for those of you. Not a whole lot of you watching right now. We got about 60 people in the live chat room, so it's a small turnout right now, but we'll see how this goes. I'm going to have fun. You guys are going to have fun. Let's go ahead and do this. So Monday Night Raw kicked off with a steel cage match. So how about that? Raw actually started with a match. When was the last time that happened? We had Drew McIntyre versus Dolph. No record scratch Ziggler. Is this a sign of things to come? Is WWE going to drop the record scratch finally? One can only hope, right? So we had the match inside a steel cage. I thought it was a good match. I did enjoy it. I liked the big superplex spot. That was well done. Chris Mace with a $2 super chat donation, first one of the evening. He says, "Thank you for your kind words during my rough time." Absolutely, Chris Mace, and I really do appreciate you watching here. I would just like to thank everyone for watching this. I know some of you are out doing other things and maybe watching this on demand, but for those of you that are watching this live, I'm very grateful to you guys, and I'm happy to have some company here for the final NoDQ Live of 2018. William Losh with a $2 super chat time. He says, "Stuck working at a gas station. Thank God for NoDQ." Hey, you got to make that dollar. So good for you, William Losh, and thank you so much for checking out NoDQ Live. So, Ziggler and McIntyre. The story of the match was that McIntyre was dominating, but Ziggler had the fighting spirit. Ziggler was not giving up. Every time McIntyre knocked him down, Ziggler wanted to keep fighting. McIntyre was doing all of the trash talking, and Ziggler just kept going like the Energizer battery. Yes, we will be dealing with drunk people all night. Probably quite a few of you are drunk watching this right now, which... Yeah, so we had Drew McIntyre on the verge of victory, and then Dolph Ziggler made his big last-minute comeback. It was not enough. Drew McIntyre hit not one, but 2 Claymore kicks to pick up the victory over Dolph Ziggler. And then afterwards, he just kept beating the crap out of Dolph Ziggler. He left the ring, and then Ziggler was like, "Is that all you got?" McIntyre got back in the ring with a steel chair. He positioned Ziggler up against the cage with the steel chair and then did the running Claymore kick to Ziggler and the chair. So yeah, Dolph Ziggler, he has that fighting spirit. I like the fact that even in defeat, Ziggler is putting up the fight. So I'm okay with it. McIntyre getting the big push. Time will tell if it's sustained, if WWE will continue to push him. And of course, as John Tompkins puts out there in the chat room, a very game Dolph Ziggler. And suffice to say, I know it's common sense, but it does need to be said. Do not drink and drive. If you are drinking, please be responsible and do the right thing, and do not get behind a wheel. There's no excuse now. You have Uber, you have Lyft. There's just ways you can get around it. So if you're not prepared to pay to have somebody drive you, don't drink. Be responsible. And in some cases, one is too much. So please be responsible to everyone out there. I like the post-match promo from Drew McIntyre. He talked about how he didn't need Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph Ziggler was just trying to pick up his scraps, and McIntyre said that Ziggler's not even good enough for his scraps, and then McIntyre vowed to win the 2019 Royal Rumble. Good stuff. I thought this was a solid opening to Raw. Throughout the show, we had the WWE superstars giving their New Year's resolutions, which was fine. You know, it's filler, it's cute, whatever. It's for the New Year's show. Not a whole lot to it, just basically time filler. John, ask me that question at the end. I'll just do a random Q&A at the end of the video before we hit midnight. But for now, we got to stick to Raw and stick to the topics regarding Monday Night Raw. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, Drew McIntyre is my pick for the Rumble. I hope he draws number 1 so we can get an hour of him. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I mean, if McIntyre is not going to be booked to win the match, then you could very well see that scenario where McIntyre goes in early and has, you know, that really good showing where he's eliminating a bunch of people before finally getting eliminated at the end. So we had Triple H interrupt Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out for his promo, and he said that he wanted Dean Ambrose right there, right now. Triple H came out and brought up the whole, there's no automatic rematch clause anymore, which the crowd booed, by the way. So I love this. I think it's hilarious. WWE made this big deal about how the fans are now the authority. So what happens here? Triple H says Dean Ambrose is not facing Seth Rollins for the IC title again. The crowd boos this, and Triple H even says that Rollins doesn't deserve the rematch, which the crowd again boos, but Triple H doesn't change his mind. I thought the fans were the authority. Storyline dead. It is dead. R.I.P. Seriously. WWE just shot themselves in the foot by doing this storyline where they say the fans are the authority, and then you can clearly hear the crowd booing. If you're gonna stick to your agenda, then edit out the crowd, because the crowd booing that and then Triple H is just like, whatever. I mean, is Triple H a heel again? I don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So this segment was just a dud as far as I'm concerned. He said Rollins was a shell of the man he once was, which again, how does this make any sense? I mean, Seth Rollins had the perfect counter. He's like, I've been the man this year, besides Becky Lynch, of course. You know, Rollins brought up all the great matches he's had, which is true. I mean, Rollins has pretty much been the MVP of Raw. So is Triple H a friggin' heel again? I don't get this. What was going on here? Somebody, please explain to me. Triple H, I thought he was a babyface now. I thought the McMahons were listening to the fans. Huh? Yeah, this failed epically. This sucked. Shane McMahon then came out, and so Triple H says Seth Rollins has to earn his opportunity, right? Then Shane McMahon comes out and announces a battle royal with the winner facing Dean Ambrose for the IC title. However, no Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins doesn't get his opportunity to fight for the IC title. Okay. I guess he has to go through Bobby Lashley and then he gets a future title match. I mean, I was confused by this segment. Wasn't a fan of it. Just, it reassures my opinion that there's no real shakeup here. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all BS. We had the Battle Royal, which had pretty much all of the undercard / main event talent. You know, all the guys that struggled to get TV time. So we did have Kurt Hawkins get a spot on TV, and he almost won the whole thing, which I actually thought would have been hilarious if that happened. I would have been entertained by that, but no, he did not pick up the victory here. I mean, if WWE was going to end this losing streak storyline, this would have been the time. You had Zack Ryder, who did not compete on Raw for the entire 2018, but he tweeted out on Friday, I believe, that he was hoping he would get one more opportunity to compete on Raw, and sure enough, he was part of the Battle Royal. So I talked about how in storyline this whole new era doesn't make sense, but in real life it really doesn't make sense. Okay, so who's the one guy in this match that everybody loves? Finn Balor, right? Guess what? Balor did not win. Balor got eliminated. Crowd was unhappy about this, of course. And then we had it down to Curt Hawkins, Baron Corbin, and Apollo Crews. And Apollo Crews was pretty much dominating the match. He eliminated, I believe, 8 guys. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, he eliminated 8 people in this match. Hawkins came close, but no cigar. And then Apollo Crews eliminated Corbin to win the Battle Royal. So yes, Apollo Crews, everybody, is the guy that will be facing Dean Ambrose for the IC title. And that ended up taking place later on the show. So stay tuned for that. We had Natalya cut a backstage promo. Footage was shown from the Christmas episode of Raw. Christmas Eve, I should say. And Natalya said that she wanted one more opportunity. She was going to enter the Royal Rumble match and headline WrestleMania. And then she got attacked by everybody's favorite wrestler, Nia Jax, and Tamina Snuka. And in case you missed it, head over to NoDQ.com. Nia Jax definitely stirred the pot today with a response to a WWE tweet. And then Ty Dillinger chimed in as well. So it was quite the interesting day on social media. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest updates on that. Then we had Baron Corbin complain about the Battle Royal and how it wasn't fair and nobody deserves change more than him. This led to Elias on the stage doing a song, ripping into Baron Corbin, which the crowd loved. He called Corbin a loser, and the crowd started chanting, "You're a loser" at Corbin. Elias was praising. Actually, he talked about how Corbin would insult Detroit for being a rundown city, and basically the stuff that Elias would say as a heel, he was saying Corbin was saying that stuff about Detroit. I thought that was amusing. And then Elias brought up how Detroit's having a resurgence because I've been going there, that's why. But no, seriously, Elias brought that up, and the crowd was really into it. This was a good segment. Elias is definitely doing well as a babyface here. Crowd likes him. We had a big brawl between these two. They fought in the stands, and then eventually Corbin ran up to the staging area and then took off, and that was that. So next up, we had Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Ember Moon against the Riot Squad. Not much to it, these 6 women matches, they're pretty run-of-the-mill, not a whole lot to say about them, and this was no exception, just your standard 6-woman match. Crowd really didn't care that much about it. Bayley picked up the win, pinning Sarah Logan, and there you go. So, not really sure what else to say about it. It was just your random Raw match. There was a video package of Braun Strowman showing all the cool things he's done this year. WrestleMania, pushing over the big set piece. All the crazy moves he did to Kevin Owens, Money in the Bank, knocking him off the ladder through the table, the little pranks that Strowman did to Owens, all sorts of crazy stuff. And Strowman returns next week. Strowman's back. Brock Lesnar is back next week. John Cena is going to be on the tape SmackDown for tomorrow. But Cena will also be on Raw. At least for the next month or so, Cena will be on both shows. So there you go. WWE is bringing out the big guns for next week's Raw. But there is another football game, which is actually the last week of any kind of football competition. And then on the 13th is when there's no more football competition and it's all done. But yes, Raw is live next week, and I guess WWE should be seeing the numbers come back to somewhat normal next week. Last week's Raw was just a disaster, but I mean, it was Christmas Eve, which is pretty much the worst night to have television shows airing. It did do the all-time lowest viewership in Raw history, like 1.7 million viewers. I suspect tonight will be pretty weak as well, maybe a little bit higher. I think we'll see it do like 2 million viewers, something like that. But the big question will be, what does Raw do next week and then the week after once there's no more football competition? Next week, they might do, 2.4, 2.5, and then maybe on the 13th, if they're lucky, they'll do 2.7, 2.8. I don't even know if Raw is going to get back to 3 million viewers, quite frankly. I feel like people are just gradually losing interest in watching Raw live. People have other options now. They can watch the YouTube clips. They can go on WWE's Twitter and watch clips. Virtue just wanted to let everybody know that he's drunk. So whoop-de-freaking-do. Anyways, let's get back to the Raw review. So we had Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers against Heath Slater and Rhino in a handicap match. Again, not much to say about it. Pretty much filler. Rhino's back, yay. And it's Jinder Mahal. Singh brothers were probably the highlight of the match, but not a whole lot to say about it. Just more filler. And then we had Dean Ambrose. Actually, I went a little bit too far here. Let me go back. Bobby Lashley against Seth Rollins, which was the match where I guess Seth Rollins needed to prove himself to Triple H that he's worthy of getting another match with Dean Ambrose, which I guess will be at the Royal Rumble, whatever. Lio Rush came out with Lashley, did the usual pre-match promo, and then Lio kept interfering in the match, and Rollins was just getting fed up. So eventually, Rollins was just like, screw it. He grabbed the steel chair, and he hit Lashley in the back with the chair. Referee called for the bell. Rollins DQ'd. Rollins beat the crap out of both of them with the steel chair. And then we had the stomp to Lio Rush, which was something else. I will say that. I mean, Lio Rush's head pretty much hit the mat. I mean, it was brutal. It reminded me, and I think a lot of people thought of this too, when Randy Orton did that RKO to RVD, and RVD basically landed head first with the RKO. I mean, that's pretty much the type of bump that Lio Rush took here from the curb stomp. It was something else. I'll just say that much. So that was probably the highlight of this whole thing. I guess Rollins will get his title match now because he's showing some ruthless aggression. Oops, wrong era. Whatever he's supposed to be showing to Triple H now in the new era of WWE. So we had another video package with the NXT call-ups, just showing more of what they're doing and more footage of Lars Sullivan talking about how nobody's ever seen a freak like him before, blah, blah, blah. Then we had Dean Ambrose versus Apollo Crews for the IC title, and it was all right. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but I didn't care about it too much. Apollo Crews went for a frog splash. He missed, and then Ambrose capitalized with dirty deeds to retain the title. He was a very game Apollo Crews. He won the Battle Royal. He got his match. And would not shock me if that's the end of his push. You know, this was just a one-night thing, time filler. I'm not really expecting much out of this. I still think what Apollo needs is a heel turn. Just the whole smiling babyface thing is not cutting it for me. So that's all I have to say about that. We had a preview for next week's Raw, as I mentioned. Lesnar, Cena, Strowman all coming back. Also next week, Alexa Bliss announced that she will be premiering a new talk show segment called A Moment of Bliss. And the first guest will be none other than Ronda Rousey. I am not having high hopes for this one. I just remember the Alexa talking segments that we've seen before were not particularly good. Most notably, the Bayley "This Is Your Life" segment. So I'm a little fearful of this, but maybe it'll end up better than expectations. We'll see what happens next week. By the way, if I said January 6th, I think I screwed up. I think it's actually January 7th. 6th or 7th, I'm not even sure. A week from tonight, whatever. And then the main event, we had Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax and Tamina. Actually, it was Rousey and Natalya in a tag team match. And Ronda and Natalya just went right after Nia and Tamina before the bell even rang. So it was chaotic right off the bat. Things eventually got into order. The match began. And just your typical tag team match with the finish being Tamina going for her Superfly Splash, but Ronda countered it into the armbar and Tamina tapped out, and that was that. That was Monday Night Raw. Pretty much just a throwaway filler show. There were a few highlights. The cage match was good. I did like the curb stomp to Lio Rush. I did like the Elias Baron Corbin segment, but everything else I thought was just average at best. And the Triple H segment annoyed me. So I will give Raw, I will be generous because this was New Year's Eve and it's not like WWE was putting the effort into it. I will give it a C-. I mean, it was basically just a lame duck show like last week. Next week, the expectations will be higher. It's because my expectations are so low going into these holiday shows, you know, I go easy with the letter grade. Next week, I'm expecting better. I'm expecting WWE to fire on all cylinders and start showing us that they're serious about making changes. Because up to this point, I'm not convinced. I need more. We'll see what they do next week. C-. But it's very much a skippable Raw. If you missed it, you really didn't miss much. I'm seeing a lot of C's. Mayor of Peepsville with a C. Daniel with a C-. Jeremy Dorset with a C+. CC Drink with a D. Asim loved the show. He gave it an A+. I'm not sure if he's trolling. Kurt with a D. Joshua Rice with a C. John Tompkins with a C-. Lewis with a D. Riff NoDQ fan says nothing is going to change until Vince is gone. That is probably true. Speaking of big announcements, because WWE had quite a few regarding next week's Raw, apparently in a couple of hours there's going to be a major announcement, and the speculation is that it's something related to All Elite Wrestling. So many of you will be asleep by that time, but we'll see what that announcement is, and we'll see if 2019 can be a turning point in the wrestling industry, if we'll see a new promotion rise from the ashes to potentially one day maybe be a real alternative to WWE, something better than what TNA was. As Reggie says, speaking of smoke and mirrors, LOL, ha ha ha. Mike B says, Happy New Year, everyone. Good night. So I guess he's done. Well, I'm not done. No DQ Live is not over yet. So you guys got to stay up a little bit longer because I got some ranting to do. So I'm going to force you guys to hang out with me for just a little bit longer until next year. So you guys got to stick with me until the new year. We got about 23 minutes until the ball drops at Times Square. So I do want to talk about the NoDQ.com year-end award results, which were just posted earlier today on NoDQ.com. Head over to NoDQ.com/awards if you would like to read the full results. And I would like to do a quick plug for Pro Wrestling Tees because they are doing another sale coming up this week, and that includes NoDQ.com t-shirts. So if you haven't gotten your new shirts yet, you have an opportunity to get the 20% off again later this week. I think the promo code is Wrestle Kingdom. It's for the upcoming Wrestle Kingdom show, of course. You can pick up the NoDQ Galaxy shirt, which is in the back. Has a lot of names. Many of you are on that shirt. You could pick up the other NoDQ Galaxy shirt, the new Fire Virtue shirt. There's lots of new shirts over at NoDQ.com/shirts. So if you would like to support the website for the new year, that would be a great way to do so. All right. Let's talk about the year-end award results, and I'll give my thoughts on everything. So, Male Superstar of the Year, AJ Styles, winning barely over Roman Reigns. So, now one of the polls goes viral and way more people vote than usual in a particular 12,500 people vote in the poll, and apparently the Roman Empire was trying to campaign for him to win. It did not work. AJ Styles did pull off the victory. For the third year in a row, AJ Styles is the NoDQ.com Superstar of the Year, and he's the first person to win the Male Superstar of the Year award 3 times. So, congratulations to AJ Styles on that. He has really made a huge impact in WWE, and he is the first person to win that award 3 years in a row. Moving on here to the Female Superstar of the Year award, Becky Lynch picked it up, and no debate about the voting. Becky won it very decisively. 75% of the votes for Becky Lynch, actually 74, but 75 just sounds cooler, so I said that. Not a surprise at all. I think it was obvious Becky was going to pick up the victory. And moving on here to the Tag Team of the Year, Undisputed Era picked up the victory, and Undisputed Era did quite well in the NoDQ.com year-end awards, so they are definitely a hot act, and as I mentioned on NoDQ video, I feel like WWE should call them all up together and push them as a group. They got the momentum. They got the Tag Team of the Year award. They won, I believe, Theme Song of the Year. They won Faction of the Year. Adam Cole almost won Catchphrase of the Year, but that was won by Elias with the Walk with Elias catchphrase. And for Finisher of the Year, Aleister Black won with the Black Mass, second year in a row for winning that. Congrats to him. You know, it's a very cool move. Curb Stomp almost won it. Close but no cigar. Would have been the first time since 2014 if Rollins had won it. And then we had Announcer of the Year. Very happy with this. Mauro Ranallo won. 46% of the vote. I endorsed him to win, and he did win. Very happy about that. Match of the Year. So this one was very debatable. I personally picked the Evolution match, and I think WWE did with their official list, and that got some people triggered. But I really enjoyed the women's last woman standing match at Evolution. I thought like that match was historic, and they delivered. They, if anything, exceeded expectations. And I think people will remember that match years down the line. Not that they won't remember Gargano and Ciampa, but Gargano and Ciampa had a lot of great matches. So it's not like people were surprised to see them have a great match. Gargano and Ciampa, NXT New Orleans, that was the winner. But it wasn't like it was, well, I mean, it was somewhat decisive. 30% of the vote. The Evolution match had 19%. Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas from Philadelphia had also 19% of the vote. So it was a close race between second and third. Next up, we have pay-per-view of the year. NXT TakeOver New Orleans won, which I'm not surprised. I mean, I was thinking maybe War Games would win because last year War Games won, and people said this year's War Games was better than last year's, at least according to the people on NoDQ.com when I did the poll. So people must have really loved that New Orleans takeover. The two takeovers came in first and second, though, and then All In was third. Evolution was the highest main roster pay-per-view, and then you had WrestleMania after that. And I just noticed a typo, which I need to fix. Breakout Star of the Year, Becky Lynch, which I know some people are like, well, wait a minute. She's already been women's champion. You know, she won it in 2016. She already had her breakout year, but I guess she broke out again. She had another breakout year. That's what people vote for. I let people send in nominations, and then I make the poll, and then people vote for what they're going to vote. And they voted for Becky Lynch, Breakout Star of the Year. So it is what it is. Don't get mad at me about that. I know some people were like, she's not a breakout star. I mentioned Catchphrase of the Year. Faction of the Year, I mentioned Undisputed Era. Comeback of the Year. Now, this one's really interesting. I am definitely surprised by this result. Hulk Hogan won the Comeback of the Year with 44% of the vote. Daniel Bryan, who I thought was going to win this, came in second with 34% of the vote. I thought Bryan was going to win for sure. Hogan just really surprises me. I don't know if, again, somebody out there campaigned for it and got a bunch of Hogan fans to vote. I am definitely perplexed by this result. Poor Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time, makes his comeback and he gets 1% of the vote. 24 votes out of 1,700. That is really sad. Just goes to show how badly WWE screwed up HBK's return. That is sad. That would be like the story of the year if Shawn Michaels came back. And he did come back. And look what happened. Yeah. Headline of the Year, which was not a surprise. I mean, we had a lot of big stories this year. Roman Reigns announces leukemia battle. That was the top vote. Bryan cleared to wrestle again, came in second. Ronda Rousey joins WWE was third. And then Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement was fourth. Enzo, accused of rape, came in fifth, which actually in terms of site traffic, that was probably the biggest story of the year. And then Hulk Hogan reinstated by WWE was at the end. Which again is surprising because how did Hogan win Comeback of the Year and then the reinstated headline is last place? That just confused me. And no, I did not rig the polls at all. I am legitimately confused how that played out. TGS, you need to stop with the trolling in the chat room. Theme song of the year, or spamming, I should say. I did mention theme song of the year, Undisputed Era winning. Babyface of the year, Becky Lynch. Again, not surprised. I mentioned this with Jeff when we did our videos. I felt like Becky would, for the most part, dominate these polls, pretty much anything she was in. She barely won it, though. It was fairly close, 33% to 29%. Seth Rollins came in second place for that one. And I think I went with Becky just because I know she had the momentum. Heel of the year. This one was very straightforward. No debate on this one. Tommaso Ciampa won it very easily. 70% of the vote. So there you go. Pretty cut and dry there. And again, feud of the year. It felt like it was the story of Becky Lynch and NXT for the year-end awards this year. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa won feud of the year. So Gargano and Ciampa did quite well in the year-end awards, as did Undisputed Era, as did Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair came in second, by the way, for feud of the year. And then we get to the worst categories, and this was just sad. I don't know what happened here. So for about 3 weeks with the voting, Nia Jax was in first place, and I think Nia Jax would have been a suitable pick considering she hasn't exactly lit the world on fire with her work. However, over the last several days, Roman Reigns got into first place. So I feel bad about this. I mean, yeah, you look at most of the year and Roman Reigns was pissing people off, and you know, people were not happy about WrestleMania. They were not happy about the first Saudi Arabia show, Greatest Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley, people were not happy about. But yeah, Roman Reigns wins Worst Superstar of the Year. So apparently people are not over being angry at Reigns just yet. Gotta feel bad for the guy. I think it should have been Nia personally. Worst match of the year. I'm not really surprised by this. Again, you know, maybe this played into it. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns from WrestleMania. That was voted the worst match of the year, which I did say because that was on the biggest stage, and that was the match that just completely bombed in the main event segment of the biggest show of the year. And that's the third year in a row that Roman Reigns has been in the worst match of the year, just saying. Worst pay-per-view of the year, I think we're all in agreement on this one. Crown Jewel, that won by far 75% of the vote. Yeah, it was a terrible show. Just an embarrassment. And then we had worst storyline of the year, which I actually disagree with. Shane McMahon is the best in the world. I know it was Crown Jewel, and Crown Jewel was terrible, but like I said, Shane winning that, I mean, the whole tournament was a joke to begin with. I wasn't taking it seriously, so I wasn't even mad when that happened. Like, I know some people were pissed off, but I was just like, this was a tournament nobody cared about to begin with on a pay-per-view that people don't even want to watch. So I'm like, whatever. I just basically laughed at it, but that one, my pick was Bayley and Sasha having their falling out and then getting back together. That came in second. And then we had the final two polls, most overutilized of the year. Again, Shane McMahon was winning, and then Roman Reigns over the last several days came into first place. So there must have been a group of people that don't like Roman Reigns that campaigned on social media to get the votes in so Reigns would come in first, because for like 3 weeks it was Shane and then Nia and then Roman was like third or fourth, and then he caught up and won the thing. So somebody out there, or a group of people out there, do not like Roman Reigns apparently, or they still don't. And then we had most underutilized of the year, which was Finn Balor coming in first, followed by Rusev in second. I guess I could agree with that one. Rusev, I think Rusev was my pick. I'm not sure. But yeah, Balor took it. And that was the 2018 NoDQ.com Year-End Awards. As far as biggest surprises go, probably the fact that Roman won Worst Superstar of the Year again, because I figured people were going to give him a break this year. But I guess some people still have a bad taste in their mouths from what happened earlier in the year. All right, so we got about 8 minutes left before the new year, so I will do an open Q&A here. Throw out some questions at me, and then I will wrap this up when we hit midnight on the East Coast. I do want to say real quick, thank you to everyone for watching and supporting NoDQ.com and checking out the videos. You guys are great. 2018 was an amazing year. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, favorite Elvis Costello song. I like Allison. I like pretty much the entire this year's Model album. So pick a song from that album. They're all great. The Riff No DQ fan says, no sympathy for Roman. Reggie says, what's your favorite moment of 2018 in WWE? Favorite moment would probably be, that's a tough one to answer. Probably Evolution. I like the end with all the women out there on the stage, and I just enjoyed that pay-per-view. So Evolution was probably the highlight for me. Okay, so people were asking me about a New Year's resolution. I like to say revolution because of WWE. I don't have one because every day I strive to be the best person I can be. I know people say, when it's January 1st, they hit the reset button and then they fall into their old ways again. My attitude is you should just make every day a resolution to be the best day possible. Stop saying you're going to do something and do it. Make the changes. Like Michael Jackson says, if you want to make the world a better place, you got to look in the mirror and make that change. So just do it now. Forget about the date. Forget about January 1st. Just make the changes and better yourself. Learn new things, experience new things, meet new people. Just change things up. If you're not happy with your life, change it up. The world is a huge place. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's so much to learn, so much to discover. Pick up a book, go search a new topic, create a new hobby for yourself. Just do something different. If it's not working for you, change it up. You never know what you might find, what you might discover, what you might love. So that's my whole thought process on New Year's resolutions. And I'm starting to lose my voice here. I am still a little bit dealing with the end of a cold, but I did want to drag out this video till midnight. We got 6 minutes left. What's my favorite Metallica song? Well, I do like The Unforgiven. I do like Nothing Else Matters. I know those are the lame commercial songs. I do like one. I like Seek and Destroy. People might hate me for this, but I do like Saint Anger. I know people don't like the production of that album, but I do like that song. TJS says, have you given up on The Walking Dead? Pretty much. I mean, I'm at the point where I think I'm just done with it. I wanted to see what happened with Rick and Maggie, and now that that's done, I really think I'm just going to give up on the show. Maybe I'll go back and watch it down the line, but I think I'm done watching it live week to week. It's gone down so much. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat donation. He says, Happy New Year, Rift. Will the wrestling trivia end before or after WrestleMania? My pick might be the amazing Jeff Meacham. I don't know the answer to that. You would have to ask Greg. Greg is in charge of everything related to Wrestling Trivia Challenge, so you would have to take it up with him. I'm trying to do the math in my head. I mean, there were 8 matches, so there's 4 semifinals, and 2 have already aired, so we got 2 more weeks, and then we got a week. I'm terrible at math, so I think it'll be done way before WrestleMania, though. I think that's safe to say. And as far as my pick goes, I'm going to go with Chris Cass. He's my pick to win it right now. Josh Gunter with a $10 Super Chat donation. Thank you, Josh. He says, much love, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Josh, and thank you so much for your Super Chat. All right, we got 3 minutes left. Wait a minute. Did someone just say 3 minutes? Kayfabe Candy Ass says, do you count these days towards Greg's reign? Well, Greg does, but I think we should maybe petition to have him not count those days, but I think it should only count for the seasons where he's actually defending the title. But that's just me. Because then nobody's going to break his record. The Riff NoDQ fan says, hey Aaron, I know you watch a lot of wrestling, but would you consider reviewing episodes of New Japan Pro Wrestling or WWE NXT, not every week, but from time to time? It's just too much for me. And I know some of you might be disappointed, but I'm not planning to watch the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom show. I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure a lot of people will rave about it, but I just don't really have the discipline to get up that early and watch it live. I may check out a couple of the matches later on afterwards. But, I am very grateful to Cindy and Stefan and Noah Foster and General Jerry Slaughter and Chris Cass for reviewing the shows. They're doing it. They did a New Japan Pro Wrestling video, and of course, Stefan and Jerry do the NXT videos. Make sure you guys check out those videos. Those videos are not getting enough love, and they do a great job with those videos. So if you want to keep up to date with the NXT broadcast, go check that out. Tony Braden with a $2 Super Chat. He says, Happy New Year, and thank you for the meetup. Well, thank you, Tony, for coming to that, and hopefully I'll get to see you again sooner than later when I'm out there on the East Coast more often. And speaking of that, Dapster says, 2019 resolution, less virtue and more Caitlyn, please. Well, I can tell you more Caitlyn is definitely in the works for 2019. And Mike B with a $5 Super Chat donation, he says, thanks for everything you did and do, Aaron. Look forward to more of your awesome channel in 2019 and beyond. You rock. Well, thank you very much for that, Mike B. So I guess we should do the countdown now. It's 8:59, so we have less than a minute until the new year, 2019 on the East Coast, and I'm just going to celebrate it here with you guys. We got about 20 seconds left, so we're going to do the countdown here. I'm going to bed after this. I know some people on the West Coast want to stay up till midnight, but I'm considering the new year in the United States when the ball drops at Times Square. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, everybody. It is now officially in New York City, 2019. So there you go. NoDQ Live. I think this is the first ever NoDQ Live where I've spanned 2 years. That's how dedicated I am to doing this video. I stuck it out with you guys. 2 years of doing NoDQ Live. One video that lasted 2 years. That is unbelievable. It is still 11 p.m. In Chicago, but you guys are central. Again, I celebrate it when the ball drops in New York City. No, thank you, Tyler, for being a great friend. And thank you to everybody out there. Again, very much appreciated. I love you all. You're wonderful people. And I look forward to doing this for a much longer period of time to come. Please, if you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. Just message somebody a link to this. I'm sure you have friends that you discuss wrestling with. Word of mouth really does go a long way, and it's the best way you can help support the site. So tell a friend, let them know about NoDQ Live. I'm heading to bed now. Thank you guys for watching. Happy New Year, and I will see you guys tomorrow night for the first, well, technically I guess we could say this is the first one, but the second NoDQ Live of 2019 will be tomorrow night, or I should say tonight, actually. You know what I mean. See you guys next time for the SmackDown edition of NoDQ Live. Take care.